how high can XRP really go? That's a question I hear all the time from you guys, and today we're going to dig deep into it together with the insights of Mark Yusko. We'll cover everything from where global markets stand to what that means for XRP's future, plus some exciting updates around its development. But before we dive in, I want to share a short clip from Mark that really caught me off guard in a good way. He brought up some perspectives that even I hadn't thought about, and I think you'll find them just as surprising. You might not realize this, but there are around 1.7 billion websites in existence right now. Back in 1991, there was just one. 14 years later, that number exploded. And funny enough, Mark points out this 14-year rule that seems to pop up over and over in tech evolution. Why? Because young innovators drive progress. Think about it like this. If you set up a garage sale on your street, only a few locals might stop by. But if you host that same sale online for the whole world, suddenly you've got a much bigger market and bigger returns. Mark also made a bold but intriguing point: when investing, the real gains are often found where others are afraid to go. He jokes that even if he had the strength, he couldn't snap a gold bar in half, let alone send it through a computer. But with just a few clicks, Bitcoin can move across the globe instantly. That kind of borderless fast transaction, it's game-changing. And that brings us to today's main focus, XRP. While Mark is heavily invested in Bitcoin and remains a strong believer in its long-term value, we're going to pivot the lens a bit and zoom in on XRP, a coin I personally see as having even more potential. Here's why: the very example Mark gave about how easily Bitcoin can be sent. XRP does it too, but it's even faster, cheaper, and more user-friendly. That's a big deal for both casual users and institutions. And beyond the tech, Mark's other point really sticks. Young people are the builders of this digital era. They're creating the tools, the platforms, the momentum, and XRP sits right in the middle of that innovation. Take a moment and look at where the younger generations are putting their money. Millennials, Gen Z, even some Gen Xers, they're leaning more toward cryptocurrency than traditional stocks. Surprising? Maybe. But there's a reason behind this shift. Crypto represents something new, something alive. It's a growing space filled with innovation. These young investors are drawn to the technologies that are actively reshaping how the world works. That's what speaks to them. And honestly, that's why I believe it's worth paying serious attention to this space. If you can spot the most impactful technologies early, the ones set to deliver real-world value, you're not just staying informed, you're positioning yourself ahead of the curve. Personally, I think those who do this could see some impressive financial outcomes down the road. Just to be clear, this isn't financial advice, just my perspective. Now, speaking of game-changing ideas, I want to circle back to something Mark Yusko shared recently. We're going to take some of his thoughts and zoom in on how they relate to XRP. So make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying this, and let's dive in. Mark talks about something powerful: the shift from trust-based systems to truth-based systems, like what blockchains and especially Bitcoin represent. But let's rewind a bit. He breaks it down through the lens of 14-year innovation cycles. Back in 1996, Web 1 changed the game. Suddenly people could publish information online. You could create a cool website with spinning images, but it was still red only. You couldn't click on a Ferrari and change it from red to blue. The web was a digital brochure, not a tool you could talk to. Fast forward to 2010 and Web 2 enters. Now the internet lets us contribute. You can upload photos, videos, and posts. Platforms like Facebook and YouTube let everyday people become creators. Sure, they keep most of the profits, but it gave users a voice. And that brings us to something Mark said that stuck with me. At 61 years old, almost 62 now, he decided to learn guitar not through a tutor or a book, but by watching videos on YouTube. And guess what? The free lessons made by regular users were incredibly effective. You want to learn anything these days, YouTube probably has it covered. But there's a twist. While users create the content, platforms like Facebook, Amazon, and Google hold all the power and the profits. That's the reality of Web 2, the concentration of wealth and control at the top. Now here we are in 2024, heading into 2025, entering what's known as Web 3, read, write, own. This next phase is all about decentralization and ownership. Instead of giving away your content and data for free, you can actually own a piece of the platforms you contribute to. That's the shift blockchain is bringing, and it's why people are excited about XRP, Bitcoin, and the broader crypto ecosystem. Imagine for a second that I become a musician, say, I've mastered the guitar and written a song I'm proud of. In the world we're heading into, I don't need a record label or a middleman to share that with the world. I can upload it straight to the internet, keep full ownership, and connect directly with my listeners. No agency fees, no brokers. Take Violet Zeroni, for example. She's a talented Italian singer and guitarist, and also a Bitcoiner. She bypasses the traditional music industry entirely. She connects with her fans one-on-one and even sells her work through NFTs. It's a whole new way of building a music career without giving control away. You might remember a viral trend from about 2 years back, a TikTok verse challenge called Crypto Boy. A young woman sang the catchy line "Don't wanna hear about your crypto boy" and invited others to add their own verses. Some of the submissions were insanely good, and she later compiled the best ones into a single version. It blew up. Honestly, I thought it was just as catchy as Skate, Ater Boy. It might not have changed the world, but it was super clever. Now I wanted to jump in on the challenge myself until my daughter firmly told me, "Dad, you're not going on TikTok." Fair enough. But here's the thing, she created something really good, fun, catchy, and with real effort behind it. And guess who made the money? TikTok. The creators got the fame, sure, but the platform raked in the cash. Now imagine if that song had been minted as an NFT, she would have owned it. She could have sold it, licensed it, profited from it. Some of that eventually happened. Pussy Riot invited her on stage and they made an NFT together, which was awesome. But by that time the real profit had already flowed to ByteDance, TikTok's parent company. That's the unfortunate truth. As someone who creates content for a living, whether it's on YouTube, social media, or other platforms, I feel this deeply. I have taxes taking a big chunk of my income. I have YouTube taking a big piece. I have social platforms making money off my work while I get scraps. I'm creating value for these platforms, and they're walking away with the rewards. That's exactly why I believe crypto and blockchain tech matter so much. They flip the power back to the creators. You get to own your work, earn directly, and cut out the middlemen. And that's a future worth fighting for. One of the most powerful things about blockchain is that it gives ownership back to everyday people. And we're not just talking about content creators, that's only one piece of the puzzle. This shift also applies to music rights, real estate, intellectual property, and even physical assets. Basically, anything you can own, titles, deeds, or rights, can be stored on a blockchain. It creates a system that's fairer and more transparent, one that everyone can trust. Think about the hoops you jump through when buying a house. You need lawyers, you pay a ton in fees, and then there are endless taxes and paperwork. All that middleman nonsense. It could be fully automated using blockchain technology. The impact, massive savings. We're talking billions, maybe even trillions of dollars globally, that could stay in people's pockets instead of vanishing into red tape. This is exactly why cryptocurrencies and smart contracts matter so much. They allow us to automate deals, eliminate unnecessary steps, and build systems that work better for everyone. And that's where XRP really shines. With XRP's technology, we can tokenize real-world assets, automate legal and financial systems, and run everything on a public ledger that anyone can access. It's efficient, transparent, and built for the future. But wait, it gets even more exciting. Welcome to the world of DeFi, or decentralized finance. You've probably heard how you need a traditional bank to get a mortgage, right? Well, let me explain why that whole process is kind of a scam. When you deposit money in a bank, they only keep 10% of it on hand. The other 90